Hello, hello, on this fine Sunday afternoon for me. It is noonish. And I am trying to see what we can do to collect as many fine, wonderful individuals that want to have a civilized conversation about any kind of scientific or spiritual issues of the day without all the bickering and the gossip and the name calling and all of the stuff that we find too often in these other channels. So hopefully we'll see what we can find to talk about today in a nice, wonderful, calm environment. And I guess the most recent thing, of course, was the successful Spacex launch of mission SXM-7, the series radio satellite thing that they tried to launch yesterday, but the weather got in the way. So today was successful. They even had a successful landing. So I will see if I can get my YouTube thing to share that video. Where's it at? There it is. Chrome tab. Yeah, and if anybody joins while I'm sharing it, just let me know in text, and we can pause it and talk about that particular launch. It's pretty routine, so I don't know a whole lot to talk about. Unless people just have really some questions that they can't seem to find elsewhere that maybe I can help with. But otherwise, we'll see how it goes. See who shows up to have again a good, nice, edifying conversation.
Everything looking good for an on-time liftoff today. Let's listen in on the final seconds of the countdown.
T-minus 15 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. And we have liftoff.
Stage 1 propulsion nominal.
Vehicle's pitching downrange.
Nice. Started the gravity turn early.
We're now 30 seconds into flight, and Falcon 9 is preparing to pass through max Q, which will happen at T plus 1 minute and 12 seconds. For those of you that might be unfamiliar with this term, max Q is when the vehicle will experience the greatest amount of dynamic pressure. Call out there that everything is looking nominal for first stage. To prepare for max Q, we throttle the engines down and then back up about 20 seconds later. And this helps ensure that we keep those dynamic pressures below a certain level.
Falcon 9 is supersonic.
Translation.
So there we heard the call out that the vehicle is now going faster than the speed of sound.
Boom! Did you hear that, Jeremy? The sonic boom. That's how far away it was.
Vehicle is experiencing maximum dynamic pressure.
So there we heard the call out that the vehicle is passing through max Q.
Yep.
Again, that's the moment in which the vehicle experiences the greatest amount of dynamic pressure, greatest amount that it'll see throughout flight. Now in just a few seconds, we'll hear the call out that MVAC chill has begun. Just like we did on the M1D engines for first stage, we open the pre-valves between the propellant tanks and the turbopumps, allow some of that super chilled liquid oxygen to cool down the turbopump hardware. There we go. So MVAC chill has begun. So that super chilled liquid oxygen is flowing through the turbopumps, allowing them to cool off prior to full flow of propellant. Everything is looking good with stage 1 trajectory.
And the max Q thing, and the theory is that if it
Coming up, we're going to have 3 events happening in quick succession.
Part of max Q. Try not to interrupt the lady.
We're going to have main engine cutoff,
theoretically,
followed by stage separation and SES1, or second engine start 1.
The Merlin MVAC engine is basically it's the same Merlin engine, but it's got a wider nozzle design so that it has a greater what's called ISP, or basically thrust ratio for
and Miko
for vacuum.
Stage separation
It's
confirmed.
more fuel efficiency, basically, the shape
All
of the
right,
nozzle.
there on your screen we have confirmation of stage separation as well as MVAC ignition.
Good MVAC ignition.
Beautiful.
Great view there of planet Earth rotating behind the first stage, which is on the left-hand side of your screen, and the second stage on the right-hand side. So on the left-hand side, we can see those grid fins beginning to deploy into the landing position. Those grid fins will be utilized to help steer Falcon 9 for a precise landing on our drone ship, which, like I mentioned earlier, is positioned a couple hundred
Vehicle's on a
miles.
nominal trajectory.
Nominal trajectory there for Falcon 9. As I said, those grid fins will be utilized to help guide and steer the booster back to the drone ship.
Bearing separation confirmed.
And confirmation that there you saw it on your screen, the two fairing halves have separated,
There it is.
exposing the SXM-7 satellite. If you look closely, you can actually see the fairing disappearing from view in the background there. Currently at T plus 4 minutes and 3 seconds into flight, and we're performing the first of 2 planned MVAC burns. At stage separation, the first stage's velocity is about 2,200 meters per second, or 5,000 meters per hour. Pretty fast. Once the first and second stages separate, that first stage is actually still moving at such a high velocity that it continues to raise its altitude as it coasts for a couple of minutes prior to starting its downward return back to Earth.
Acquisition signal Bermuda.
So,
The next major milestone that we'll be able to see will be that first stage entry burn.
unfortunately,
For the entry
the-
burn, we
the barge
relight
camera video
the
wasn't
center
steady.
engine, which
Blips
we
out.
call E9, and then partway through the transition back through the Earth's atmosphere, we relight 2 more Merlin M1D engines, E1 and E5, to give us a total of 3 M1Ds, helping to slow the vehicle down as it passes back into the Earth's atmosphere. We're expecting that entry burn to begin in about 1 minute.
If you guys are having any questions or want further details than what she's given, let me know.
Trajectory continues to look good there on second stage, carrying the SXM-7 satellite for Sirius XM.
Vehicle is on a
Hello.
nominal trajectory.
How beautiful our little starter home, I like to call it, is.
Gorgeous views of first stage as it has now reoriented itself, coasting through apogee and now returning back down. As I mentioned, we will be performing 2 maneuvers for that landing. First entry burn coming up in about 10 seconds, followed of course by the landing burn on the drone ship.
Stage 1 FTS is safed.
First stage is currently about 50 miles above the Earth's surface.
Stage 1 entry burn has started.
There we can see that the entry burn has begun on the left-hand side of your screen for that first stage re-entry. Again, we start by igniting the center engine first and then reignite 2 more engines to give us a total of 3 engines, allowing us to slow the vehicle down as it re-enters the Earth's atmosphere,
entry burn shut down.
and shutdown of those 3 engines for entry burn. Trajectory continues to look nominal there for second stage on the right-hand side of your screen.
This is literally a 9-story
that
building
view of the
dropping like a
MVAC
brick.
nozzle
in a
glowing
very
orange
controlled,
with Earth behind it.
pseudo-controlled,
Next up, we have a
semi-controlled
couple of
re-entry.
major milestones happening back to back. The start of the landing burn followed immediately by SECO 1, or second engine cutoff 1, on the second stage. SECO is where we shut down that MVAC engine to allow the second stage to coast for a little bit. This event preserves the fuel until we need it for the final burn to take us to our targeted orbit for the SXM-7 satellite. And then about 25 seconds after SECO 1, we'll hopefully have a live view of the first stage touching down
Stage 2 is in terminal guidance.
on our drone ship. Just read the instructions.
Just read the instructions.
We're expecting the landing burn to begin in about 10 seconds and SECO to begin in about 15 seconds. In for that landing on the left-hand side.
Yep, see, it looked
Hopefully
out.
we stick it.
It bumped the antenna.
Looks like we lost the feed there. We'll try to bring that back to you. And there's
There
that
she
view.
is.
Once again, this is the 7th flight and therefore the 7th
Look at that
landing
cow.
of this particular booster.
Hey, you bother to
Also
repaint
marking the
most of it.
69th successful recovery of a Falcon 9 first stage. The second stage vehicle has just entered its first coast phase, which will last about 18 minutes, and we'll light that
The rest is
MVAC
just
engine
second
for
stage
a
now.
second time shortly thereafter at T plus 26 minutes and
Yep. So a space travel always should have been nice and boring and routine. I remember when we landed the first Falcon 9, and they were, the world seemed all, happy and amazed and excited, and some reporter asked Elon, what's the next greatest, or what's his level of success? What does he call, what does success look like to him in the future, right? And Elon literally said that success to him will be when space travel is boring.
That's right. It's like, why would you report on like riding the bus?
Exactly. So it was routine and boring. I love that so much. But yeah, it's another step closer. So again, that was another one of the series, those satellite radio things you get in your car. I think we've got an antenna for that. We let our subscription expire years ago, and we can probably start it back up. I don't know. I don't know if we need to upgrade or
Do you
not.
really want to?
I don't know. I only listen to like one channel, but yeah. So people ask about how SpaceX makes it money. How beholden to the government is it? And so that's an example of how like 90% of all of SpaceX's actual revenue profitability is through private space launch services, such as that satellite. Very few, almost like barely 10%, is done through like Air Force or Space Force type, public military contracts. Excuse me, NRO type contracts. So it is truly a private space dominated market sector now. There's more need for private space vehicle, stuff, whatever, services, than there are for government. So SpaceX and all these other Galactic Origin they were trying to do another test. I believe it was either yesterday or the day before with their Strato launcher, but they had to abort, I think, after they detached. They're the ones that do the plane, the dual stage takeoff thing, and but they had to abort because of some engine problem, and they landed successfully. But that is another method of at least trying to get passengers, just at least have like space tours, to bring people up to low orbit and say hi, I guess. I don't know. I haven't followed up any recent research. If you guys want to join and talk about it, if they're able to try to develop their vehicle to actually reach the space station, for example, I know that's probably a goal, but I don't know how soon their current vehicle can do that. It'd be cool to look that up, maybe. But yeah. And I read that Jeff Bezos he congratulated Elon on his catastrophic success of the serial number 8 launch. They came back and crashed. The Raptor engines didn't quite fully reignite. And so last I heard, they were trying to discover if it was a problem with like a overpressure updraft on the engines themselves, versus if it was like a propellant slosh issue where material just wasn't able to stay at the bottom of the fuel tanks well enough to maintain a proper thrust capability and such. So If anybody hasn't seen that yet, it is truly awesome. I'll bring that up as well. Just let me know. But otherwise, yeah, I'm open to other suggestions or conversations for almost any topic, whether it's science or Christianity or all the above. So until somebody wants to ask a question or anything, I'm going to see if I can find that. Let's see here. I'll open my browser here so y'all can see what we're talking about on. I just look at SpaceX's site here. It's the general news. It's SpaceX's actual site here. Here we go. So that's the 2-hour-long version. Is there a shorter version? There is not. Well, let me see if I can find a good timestamp. So this is the close-up cameras, basically. See a lot of internal footage. There's other, so people took video of the launch from off-site, basically, so there's a little bit of a better or wider perspective. But this is this is one of the prototypes for the, it's called the Starship. It's a delivery vehicle that we're going to try to use to go to Mars. It's going to be coupled with its own first stage boost launch system as well. Combined weight and size is going to be larger than the Saturn V vehicle.
Stage route is go for flight.
So this is just the top part of it, the crew / cargo.
5, 4.
Delivery. This
3,
is what would I. So the large booster
0
will return to Earth, while this part will actually continue to go to Mars or even other planets. It's actually capable to go all the way out to Pluto if you wanted to. You go to any planet in Sol. And this is the prototype for the part that will actually land on Mars and other places.
All teams triage alarms.
We'll be able to take off again. So the large fins, because when it does do a re-entry, either into other planets, including Earth, it's going to do a glide path similar to what the space shuttle did. It's going to do an unpowered glide to be able to get closer. And they actually, in my conversations, they did not expect this particular test to actually get to the glide path phase, but it did. So they're actually able to successfully do a first run test of the glide test, and it actually centered itself over the pad. It was almost a near perfect test. And then, of course, again, the 3 Raptor engines there, Methalox Raptor engines, did not restart properly. So it did slow down some, but it came down a little too hard, and of course ruptured the structure, ruptured the fuel tanks, and the rest of the Methalox and the LOX. Like boom. Catastrophe. Catastrophic. Rapid, unplanned disassembly event. Unscheduled. Fast forward a little bit. So this is cool because we get to see inside. So they're slowly disengaging one engine at a time. It looks like to not go fully into orbit. This is just a suborbital flight. So it's down to 2 boosters or 2 engines right now. I think they're going to shut down to another engine. And then slowly begin to fall back to the Earth. This is a 13-story stainless steel building, guys. A bomb. Liquid methane and oxygen. That's epic, watching them gimbal like that. Down to 1 engine. Slowly decelerating so it doesn't go too far. Down to 1 engine now. Or no engine, I mean. Oh wait, no, it's still going. That was cool. Watch the winglet there on the top right articulate. Okay, so now it's in free. That's going to go and start into free fall. See those big giant fins articulating. It's pretty epic. So yeah, they did not expect it to get this far. This was the added benefit. Yeah. It's literally skirting the atmosphere. Yep. Very successful glide path. I was kind of half expecting the airlines would have just ripped off or something. You can see how it's almost falling straight down now. There it goes. Ignite. So they start strong. So something happens. Something causes them to but it's almost dead center. Yep. Parts flying all over. There's still number 1 out there, still sitting out there. So that, ladies and gentlemen, that is the future of space travel. Some of us may very well fly in that type of vehicle. Going to Mars and other places someday. Awesome test. Congrats, Starship team. Love it. Let's see if I can find one of the non-SpaceX videos. See it from a little bit of a different perspective. This is probably from a camera about a mile or two away. See? It almost landed. Just landed a little too hard. Watch it again. Junk. Maybe just a few meters per second slower. It may have survived. No. Yeah, so that's the latest in space science stuff, I guess. Certainly from a SpaceX perspective. I don't see anybody asking any questions yet. Let's get a few viewers. Again, if you guys want to join in, by all means, please let me know. Let me see here. Oh, gosh. Oh, gosh. What were they called again? I just said their name, too, earlier. Yeah, Virgin. There we go. Virgin Galactic. Yeah, this may be the where they showed they were trying to do their
So it's going to be about 2 minutes to
split it up as a members only stream on YouTube just to have it there, and then we also spooled it up as a public. Y'all, we were just dealing with every single time we have this unique stuff we roll out there, we do all this work to bring y'all coverage like this, and then somebody just steals it, makes a copy of it, restreams it, all this sort of nonsense. And working with
appreciate it if I could like.
Looks like they've already. That's the mothership. The drop the payload. Let's see if I can find a clip of.
And the feet now
So you're-
is looking to be to the now, kind of coming toward. They're flying away from the spaceport. They've already passed Spaceport America, but they're continuing to fly north and starting to turn a little bit to the east.
There we go. So this is like a private jet for space. The whole front fuselage looks a little like a private jet, doesn't it? Maybe this comes to a nice landing. Are they going to show the actual abort or no? Doesn't look like it. Looks like just a regular landing test. Alrighty, so what else? You got anything, Kelly? Got any kind of science or technology type question you might want to bring up? I'm trying to think of something else. What would you recommend? Excuse me. I don't know. Oh, excuse me. Let's see here. Oh, that's lovely. Apparently Smokey's saying that I'm a stupid child again. That's always fun.
Just ignore it, dude.
I am. Trying to find something about technology. Star Trek stuff. Yep. Bunch of politics junk. Don't really care about politics right now. Best drummer ever, huh? Elon Musk destroys stupid investment bankers. Yep. I don't know. Alright, guys, I need someone's help to have a good conversation, I guess. I'm trying to think of something else right now. Let's see. Talk about, see if there's any news on Neuralink. Last I found, there was a what? What's wrong with this guy? Oh, Neuralink for schizophrenia, depression. That's cool. Anyways, last I saw, they were showing the 3 different pigs that they've been experimenting on. With one of them, one's had the chip removed, one's still got the chip in her, and then another one's got never had a chip installed, so they can have a kind of a, what do you call it, a control, just to help try to see if there are any side effects. Let's see here. And they have a cute little noise that they make whenever the pig has triggers a certain neuron bank. Let's see if we can find that for you guys. Is this it? How long is this one? 3 minutes. Just do the 3-minute one.
What if we lift the curtain and then zoom in? All right, here we go. Great. Okay, great. Okay, this is a high energy pig. All right, Gertrude, thanks for coming out.
Gertrude, that's her name.
So what the beeps you're hearing are real-time signals from the Neuralink in Gertrude's head. So this Neuralink connects to neurons that are in her snout.
Awesome?
So whenever she snuffles around
No?
and touches something with her snout, that sends out neural spikes, which are detected here. And so on the screen, you can see
Pig snout
each
detection.
of the spikes from the 1,024 electrodes. And then if she snuffles around, touches this out on the ground, or you kind of feed her some food, pigs love food, then you can see the neurons will fire much more than when you're not touching the snout. And that's what's making the beeping sound. All right, cool. So as you can see, we have a healthy and happy pig. Initially shy, but obviously high energy and you know, kind of loving life. And she's had the implant for 2 months.
So
So this is a
on.
healthy and happy pig with an implant that is 2 months old and working well.
He does not like the whole COVID-19 thing.
All right, cool. And then we actually have, I hope this works, so we said, well, what if we do 2 Neuralink implants? And we've been able to do dual Neuralink implants in, actually, I think 3 pigs at this point, and we have a couple of them here. And we've been able to show that you can actually have multiple Neuralinks implanted, and again, healthy and happy and indistinguishable from a normal pig. So, so it's possible to have multiple links in your head and have them all be sending out signals and be working well.
Do you hear that, Kelly?
No, sir, I'm sorry.
You have multiple Neuralinks
All right.
in your head at one time. How many Neuralinks do you want?
Here.
None.
None.
All right, so we just showed you a demonstration
be
of
able to play
reading
Lord of
brain
the Rings
activity.
online straight from
And
your head?
No.
No?
That's freaking creepy.
see,
Holy cow.
close to that. As I was saying,
have to worry about
each of those dots represents a
you know,
neural
carpal
spike,
tunnel or anything,
and
right?
the blue chart at the bottom is showing an accumulation of neural spikes in that region.
Mapping the human brain signal pathing.
So,
It's awesome.
in terms of additional brain reading activity, when we have, say, one of our pigs on a treadmill, pig on a treadmill. It's a funny concept, really. And we take the readings from the neurons, and we try to predict the position of the joints. And so we say we have the predicted position of the joints, and then we measure the actual position of the joints. You can see that they're almost exactly aligned. So we're able, with a wireless neural implant, to actually predict the position of all of the limbs in the pig's body with very high accuracy. Now, in terms of writing,
Oh, no. Wanted to hear more.
which is a tricky thing because it's a very corrosive environment.
Well,
and,
better be careful because
you're-
YouTube might complain.
you're-
But all right. All right. All right. All I see is Jeremy Martin. 3 others. Doesn't show me your names, but yeah. What else are you guys interested in today? What other topics are there? So my only thought was, again, just trying to kind of get away from all the strife. Trying to see who wants to have fun, basically, instead of talking about people. Talking about actual, news. Oh, goodness. Let's see what is new in Christian-related events. YouTube doesn't seem to be very useful or forthright today for any good topics I'm seeing quickly. So, yeah. Sure. So, yeah, I am at a current loss for good topics. Oh, goodness. I got a cute little kitten in my lap. Yep. Wife's over here peacefully, quietly playing her video game. The Tower of Grumpwood.
Buckland is coming next.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, again, I didn't really start the stream very prepared for any particular topic or anything, you know, other than just some of the newest SpaceX stuff. So, if I don't get some sort of inspiration here, if I don't get any suggestions, I'll probably go ahead and shut down here. Oh, goodness. Let's see what else we can try to find, though. I wonder if I can find that story of the girl that was born with no brain. There's a boy now. How do you pronounce that, Kelly? Anencephaly? Absence of a major portion of the brain, skull, and scalp. Syphilic disorder that results from a neural tube defect. All right, I'll share this clip. It's about a young boy who apparently was born with no brain, to show how, or to try to at least examine the question, do we truly need a brain to exist, or at least to even think? What?
You got a very cool hairstyle this morning. Did Mum do that? Was that you? Yep. It's a good thing on the telly, isn't it?
You had a good time this morning, though, and you're meeting everybody. Have you met the man with the waistcoat? Yeah. The red waistcoat?
Born with less than 2% of his brain. Kelly? He looks perfectly normal to me. He's all hamming it up for the camera and everything.
It was almost unbelievable, because as he was developing in your room, it became quite clear that there were real problems, and that he only had about 2% of brain. Indeed, that's what he was born with, 2%. And what's the percentage now? 80%. He's grown since birth. He's grown a brain. This is incredible.
Oh, wow.
It's a very emotive subject. Some people say you can't grow a brain.
Wait, I think I'm sharing the wrong one. Hold on. I apologize, everybody. I was sharing the wrong screen, I think. So yeah, let me try to fix that here. Hold on. Stop screen, share screen, Chrome tab. There we go.
You.
Yep.
It's a good thing on the telly, isn't it?
You're having a good time this morning, though. You're meeting everybody. Have you met the man with the waistcoat?
Yeah.
The red waistcoat. What's he called?
Joe.
Joe.
Joe Swash.
Yeah, he's funny, isn't he? Funny guy.
He makes everybody laugh.
We love your tie, by the way, your Superman tie.
Thanks.
Yeah, it looks really cool. This is an extra. When we heard this story yesterday, we were having a meeting to talk about what was going to be on today's program. It was almost unbelievable, because as he was developing in your womb, it became quite clear that there were real problems, and that he only had about 2% of the brain, and indeed that's what he was born with, 2%.
Yes, it was, yes.
And what's the percentage now?
80%.
He's grown since birth. He's grown a brain.
Yeah.
This is incredible.
It's a very emotive subject. Some people say
So
he
his brain
can't grow a
developed
brain.
after he was
Some
born.
people say his brain was there, but all squashed up.
What a joy, though, is he's been
Every
making
day.
everybody smile
Yep.
this morning. So,
Every
my
day.
goodness me, how lovely to have him with you. But that moment when you were told the situation when he was in your tummy.
Yeah.
Terrible time.
That must have been
Cute
quite
kid.
a moment as a mum, really, because you already had 2 older girls, didn't you?
Yeah, we got taken into a room and, you know, they drew a circle and said, you know, this brain there'll only be half of the brain. And that's what we got told until obviously he was born, and we got shown.
And along with that
another scan.
information, they gave you, I think, was it 5 times? They gave you the option of a termination.
They did, yeah.
They did.
Why were you so determined not to? Because a lot of people would have taken that option, given the
Because
scenario
they're
that they were
murderers.
sketching out worst case
Yeah,
scenario,
they
and it was
were,
not good.
you know.
What made you? Confidence, the wrong word, but what made you strong enough to just say no? I'm going through with this. After five times
I think
after your term.
possibly because we were all the parents. I think if younger people were offered that choice, they may have felt pressured into taking that choice because we're all the parents. We know our own mind, and we're positive people.
Yes.
So we wanted to give no other chance of life.
And it's paid off,
Yeah.
seemingly so far, because they said he wouldn't be able to talk, didn't they?
Yeah, they gave us a whole list, you know, severely mentally and physically disabled, you know, maybe not be able to hear, see, eat, do, you know, anything at all.
Right.
That must have made for one heck of a tense pregnancy for you.
Yeah, it was the 11th of the 11th of the 11th at 11 o'clock. Never forget that day.
I bet.
And what about the day that he was born?
That was an amazing day, the day that you were born.
Yeah.
We waited with
like,
bated
yeah.
breath because they put a non-resuscitation order on Noah.
And there was 12 people in the operating theatre, and we had to go in a week before we were due for a caesarean because Noah's head was growing dangerously large with the hydrocephalus, and he was born and let out an amazing scream. So we knew everything.
You knew there was some power there,
Yeah, there
didn't
was
you?
some power there,
Straight away. And you're not stopping, are you? You want to go further. You'd love to be able to try and walk now. Is that right, Noah?
Yep.
And even do something that all sorts of people, including myself, can't do, and that's surf.
Yep.
Unable to walk at the moment, but tell us how you're hoping that you can rectify that.
We've actually been over to Australia.
It's called neurophysics. It's a mixture of exercise, physiotherapy, and cognitive exercises. They don't actually do this for children because of the cognitive side of things. We were lucky enough to persuade them to see Noah, basically to give us an assessment, so we can then prepare him for the future when he's old enough to have that cognitive side to help things. So basically, it's the brain's ability to heal or correct the body's nervous system.
Yes.
It's an extraordinary thing,
It's
the body,
amazing.
isn't it?
Yeah,
And so what are those doctors that, of course, were only acting out of what they believe were the best interest for you and for Noah at the time? What do they say now about where he is?
He's extraordinary.
Yeah.
And we send them emails, don't we, and
Do you?
pictures and update them. Yes, we do. We have an
I bet they're
amazing
delighted,
relationship
Well,
aren't
with them.
I bet it's a rare
Everybody's
case of doctors
extraordinary.
being delighted to have been wrong.
Oh,
Right.
yeah, delighted.
Everybody-
And
every
we
life
take
is a
them
miracle.
presents at Christmas, and we go and dress up and see all the other children as well, don't we? It's amazing.
Do you know what, Noah? You're winning friends everywhere. Daniela Westbrook, I don't know if you know, you might not know Noah,
don't think he knows you,
she's a big friend of our show. And she tweeted this morning, "Oh, Noah's the cutest little boy ever." There you go, you've got celebrity fans now.
How cool's that?
Well, we'll have to get you a fan club. Yeah, we'll be official members of the Noah fan club of the UK. Listen, it's great to see you all. Thanks so much for coming in.
No,
it's,
thank
it's a
you.
pleasure and a privilege to meet him and you. But what a testament to the power of human hope. You know,
That's all we have.
and the strength of hope.
And positivity.
Yeah.
And
And
positivity.
I'm
and
sure
the
it's not
rewards
always
that it can bring.
easy.
It's amazing.
Thank you.
Lovely.
Thank you very much.
Lovely.
Yep. Lovely story. Yeah. Medical miracles. There's no reason to believe that God can't heal anything. Any condition.
Look.
Yep. Pretty cute cat. So what else? No way.
Past few years, we have seen surgeons carry out the first hand transplant, womb transplant, and of course we've seen face transplants. But now one doctor is planning on making history by performing the world's first ever head transplant.
Yep, you heard correctly, a head transplant.
Yeah, didn't some Russian guy try that?
The pioneering a
It didn't
somewhat
work out.
controversial operation will see
That
the
was
head
probably-
of Valeries, who's terminally ill and wheelchair bound, attached to an entirely new body. We're speaking to Valerie, who's here with us in just a moment. But first, Charlotte has more on exactly what...
Okay, let me explain. I'm not doing this. Today my life is pretty tough. I need to invite people to help me every day, even twice a day, because I need someone to take me off my bed and put me to my wheelchair, to assist me through the day. So it makes my life pretty dependable from other people. And if there will be a way to change this, I believe that it should be
Yeah. I don't know, I couldn't find a story easily on his current condition.
What's his name?
Oh, goodness. Valeries Spiridonov. Okay. He's saying he changed his mind.
Probably smart.
Yeah. He canceled his head transplant surgery after falling in love. Oh, that's pretty gory. They still show the planned procedure. But yeah, all right. What else can we talk about, Kelly? Talk to me. Running through the woods. Sarah Dan's cabin. Did I pronounce that properly?
I'm hoping so, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm not sure either.
Got nothing on your mind right now? I was hoping Jesse or someone would join in.
Mr. Camping?
Yeah, it's always fun talking to you. Keep going for a little while longer, see if anybody shows up. Got nothing you want to go over? I'm just looking for suggestions. Cute cat.
Yes. She's extremely cute.
Alright. Let's see.
It's not as interesting to have positive conversations for a lot of people.
Is that what it is?
Have negative.
People prefer the negative conversations? Well, I don't care.
Well, it's the reason why news agencies always report bad news.
Right?
That's what sells certain on this.
I'm going to share, if I can find it, juvenile onset. What's it called? Parkinson's. Part of the hope with the Neuralink technology, this is one of my favorite examples, is the recovery of people with, hold on, why is this not working? Hold on. With all kinds of other brain disorders or whatever you call it, symptoms. And the current or the old school, it's called, I call it the one direction or unidirectional communication technology. It's called deep brain stimulation. It's basically a pacemaker for the brain. So they're able to inject electrodes basically into a person's brain, and they map where the signals are to try to understand why they have either essential tremors or Parkinson type, the rapid uncontrolled movement, and then they simply counteract. They give a different signal on top of the other mixed signal to create a corrected movement. Basically, they're literally, it's like almost like plucking the piano strings, so to say. So this is a younger lady, I think she's still in her 20s, who had the surgery. She had juvenile onset Parkinson's, and gives one of the best demonstrations of the technology. She turns it off and then back on. It's only a couple minutes. I'll let it play.
Hi, Jasmine here. So I just got my DVS programmed. Yay. And so I'm on. So I'm functioning. I'll show you what that looks like. So I've got arms that can stay still instead of shaking. Hands that can do this. I can put my arms up, around. I can lift my leg up, stand, balance, no problem. So I'm going to turn it off and see what happens to show you what it looks like. So this is my GPS remote. That's my dog. That's my GPS remote. And so it's synchronized to my battery, so you can see that it is on and okay. It means that my battery's charged and that my DVS is on. If I push this white button, it will turn it off. So here goes nothing. Disclaimer, if stage 4 Parkinson's bothers you, don't keep watching. I'm off. Okay. You can see the rigidity of my shoulders. My arms are stuck. You can hear the change in my voice. My throat muscles are having to work a little extra hard. I can't lift my leg up more than that.
Oh.
So.
It's like the more she tries to move, the more the brain loses its ability to send
Also, you
signals.
can see my face. I can't smile anymore. No, it's just my facial muscles failing. So.
It's trapped in your own body. I love that. She just melts.
There it goes. It's literally as simple as that.
So precious.
Back on now. That's DBS. That's why I had brain surgery.
You go, girl.
One neurologist said to me, you know, it looks like you could have young onset Parkinson's disease, but if you did, you'd be the youngest person and you'd be in the Guinness Book of World Records. So I first started noticing symptoms when I was 22 years old. I was driving in the car with my boyfriend at the time, and we heard something like rattling in this car, and we didn't know what was wrong. So my boyfriend, who's my husband now, pulls over and we're like, where is this coming from? And it turned out it was my foot, like just tremoring like this, like uncontrollably hitting the side of the door. And then I'm like, oh my God, that was weird. Thought it would go away. Never did. I noticed that things started getting really different when I was a teacher's aide because they would ask me to do these fine motor things and I would just lose control of the scissor or the pencil or the pen. And I'm like, this isn't normal. And along with that, I started walking in the hallway and I remembered I would hear like a stomp. You would hear this weird slapping when I would walk. My voice started becoming really quiet. So those were the things that I noticed that I'm like, something is seriously wrong. A lot of the medications gave me terrible, terrible side effects. When they put me on Vyvanse, I went from 130 pounds to so much worse. I must have fallen like 3 times when I was pregnant. It's probably just because of the weight and the distribution and you're not used to it. But now that we have my diagnosis, we realize that the falling was a huge red flag that there was something neurologically going wrong. I think the most defining moment for me was after I gave birth to my second daughter, my husband had come home from work. I remember him vividly picking up my daughter and smelling her. He's like, she has a full diaper. How did you not smell this? And I had zero idea. Most people who have
Forgot I had myself on mute. Yeah, it was nice to see you, Guru Lady. Thanks for stopping by. If you got any, like a quick topic or anything you'd like me to try to touch on before you go, let me know. I'm currently struggling for some ideas. Hoping someone can join and inspire good, awesome conversation. So if you got anything, let me know. Help me out, Kelly. What other conversations? What other? Can't even think of anything. I've been busy, so busy myself. All this week. Not just Thursday. I had to work that 12+ hour day. Tomorrow I gotta start getting busy again. I got this Mercury security product thing. We're going to basically hack their system. the new Mercury boards don't have they have a lockdown mode, but they don't have a emergency mode thing that these other brands have. And so we are going to literally create or invent. I forget which signal. There's going to be a different signal parameter it's kind of off the beaten trail as far as the configurations go, but we're going to create our own emergency mode flag for the device, and we've already tested it with a couple of devices with my bench test, and then with this other gentleman up in Illinois. And so now we're going to start the actual code change to not only begin to more automatically push that new emergency modes flag thing, but also there's all kinds of merging, all kinds of other things we got to do to catch the technology. What does Guru Lady say here? Oh, okay.
That's a good suggestion she made.
Yeah, thank you. Charity, since it's near Christmas and charity should be year-round and not just holiday-based. Amen. Yeah. Well, hack the planet. Well, yeah. I guess, yeah. I mean, this company, I don't know if you knew this about me or not earlier. I just started, is this my 6th week or so, month and a half now? Started.
Has it been that long?
I don't know. I started like the 3rd week of November. When did I start? November 9th.
Yes, I think that's right.
So, okay. A little more than a month. And they've got so many products. They've got their fingers in almost everything.
Yeah, it's a huge company.
Well,
I mean, I have a
company-wise, yeah, but personnel. That was something I was talking about earlier in Praise's channel earlier this morning about just automation and artificial intelligence in general. How there's a big concern, and this might tie into Guru Lady's suggestion about talking about charity, especially year-round charity. There's a big concern that as AI and machine language development becomes more and more mature, that it's not only going to automate, basic manufacturing type sectors, but even service sectors. So even in Google's AI, they've demonstrated how their AI is fully capable now to. In fact, I could probably show that in the stream or in my video, where it not only can answer someone making a phone call and seem exactly like a human, far better. Yeah, far better than the current crappy stuff like when you call your bank, This actually has a conversation with you, but it also can do the opposite. It can make calls for you. And it'll be an automated AI agent that will, in the demonstration that Google used a few years back, they were calling a restaurant and a hairstylist to set up appointments. Yeah. And the test was that the human on the other side of the phone couldn't tell the difference. Yep. Right? Yep. So she's a cashier at the grocery store. That's what we go. Yep. Yeah, that is awesome. So yeah, I do that often. Sometimes I almost look for or wait for somebody that looks like they're struggling paying for their groceries so I can help.
Man, we did that a lot when you were at SpaceX. Remember? Oh, that was so fun.
Even when I was unemployed, we'd do that.
We shouldn't talk about it.
I know.
Don't let our right hand know it or whatever.
Amen.
How that goes.
Exactly. The point was, I look for that. Just seek that out. But So I'm sure you probably already seen the hints that they're trying to automate, restaurants trying to automate, like the McDonald's little customer service kiosk. So they're going to try to automate, cashier stuff even, In fact, we saw that in California. What was that place called?
Oh, I forget. I have the picture of the building in my head, but I don't remember what it was called.
Little green, small little grocery store.
Yeah, and it was cashierless entirely.
Right. Well.
It was all self-checkout unless you needed help.
Right. Well, even if you needed help, I guess I don't know what they'd help you with. But what was that one lady? Where are all the men? Remember that?
That was unrelated.
It's a good memory, though.
Joel had never been to California before, and I had given him lots and lots of warnings before we had to move there for a little while. about what it's like there and the people there, and like, just brace yourself. I warn them about things you really shouldn't talk about unless, you know, you want to get shot. You know, California's different than Texas and not quite as free. But anyway, so we get there and we go to the grocery shopping at this place, and this older lady. And I'm not trying to talk smack. I thought it was hilarious. It was really cute. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. But she had bright red lipstick, and her hair was like, she had teased it all over the place. So it was a big hair. And anyway, she went to go pay for her groceries and stuff, and she's like wondering where the cashier is, and she's like, the way she said it was so funny. She's like, I never bag my own groceries. Where are all the men? And oh my gosh, me and my daughter had to turn around physically because we were about ready to lose it from laughing, and Joel's just like, wow.
Well, I about faced. I went to go pretend I forgot something, you know. So I didn't know what was going to happen.
Where are all the men?
Ugh.
I never bag my own groceries.
Yep. So, anyway, so the point was that they were trying to minimize costs by having as few employees as possible. They had like a couple stockers and a cleaning person, and like you said, there's one person that would kind of help with the front checkout part, but they weren't standing at a cashier. They were just there to kind of help in case, I guess, something broke. But the point was that the effort was to minimize, you know, or to automate basically the entire grocery shopping experience. You still have to, you know, pick your groceries and check them out yourself, but
bag 'em up.
with the COVID-19 thing, that's so we've been ordering stuff. We've been ordering groceries from Walmart, even, and have it delivered straight to our door. I know Amazon's got a service for that, so you know we can't get all the perishables, so we still stop by like a dollar store or whatever nearby.
Well, regardless of the Rona, it's still cold and flu season. It's wise
Right.
for our conditions that we not get exposed to the flu. But
Well,
yes, we minimize contact.
the point is that it's more or less proving the case that our service sector industries are going to become more and more less human, you know, human contact, just by the nature of technology, much less, you know, all these other pandemic things or whatever. And so the big question mark is, how are people going to live? How are they going to work? If computers, even guys like me, even AI coders, you know, our jobs are at threat. We literally write AI that can start to program itself, you know? You give it a profile and certain design features, it will figure some things out on its own. So,
Like I was saying last night, there's still going to always be a very high demand for humans and interaction with humans. I mean, like I was telling Joel last night, if you think about it, when you call your power company, right, you need to make a payment arrangement or whatever, or talk to customer service for some reason. What's the first thing you do when that automated service picks up the line? Customer service
Agent.
Agent
0000. Yeah, it's just
you're
annoying.
You're trying to get a hold to a human because it's otherwise very annoying.
Right. So she's saying, even though, and I don't, you don't have to share where you're working at, of course, but she's working from 3 to 11 p.m. and it's just her manager, one other person. So there's already, you know, I don't know if it's because of a low demand, or is
I
that?
doubt it. That's just their skeleton crew. I bet you they're working their fingers to the bone.
Well,
Just a small crew like that.
yeah, but is that? I mean, is that more of the sign of the time, so to say? You know, that's what I'm getting at. But
It certainly is more government. Government continues to force employers to provide this, that, and the other. Yeah.
Oh, getting unemployment. See, that's not happening in Texas. I got on unemployment. Was it early?
Obamacare even.
Well, she's talking about how no one's applying to their store because why bother working if you just get unemployment benefits?
Yes, yeah, that makes a good point. Or did they still have that? Oh gosh, I forget the term they use. The increased unemployment due to COVID or something, or is that running out? Because I thought that was running out.
Well, that's what I was going to share. So I got on unemployment. Was it August, September, sometime? That's how I got on these YouTube things. You know, I was looking for something else to do, and it's like right at the end when the federal unemployment extensions, whatever it was, everybody's talking about the extra stipend you're talking about, Kelly.
Yeah.
That's when it ended in Texas. Here they also were ending it, so I didn't care. You know, we were doing okay, and I got just the minimum whatever. Well, actually, I got the maximum normal rate for the unemployment.
Yeah, without the Rona friggin'.
Yeah, the COVID-19 thing. Yeah. And so and I felt again, I didn't really, we didn't necessarily need the extra money, but still, all these other people got extras, hundreds of dollars, for several months that the rest of us didn't get, Not that I'm complaining. I'm not a socialist or whatever, but regardless, the point is, it was very what's the word? Discriminatory. But so yeah, so again, I'm not sure where you are, girl, lady, but here in Texas, you can't really survive off unemployment, unless
You don't want to for very long.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. So, but I like working nights and weekends. Me too. Work and find. Yeah. I was getting about 1,600. I thought, wasn't I? 400 a week. No more than 400 a week.
You got the maximum that unemployment due to your salary before, right?
Yeah, but regardless, the question is what to do with people that become unemployed because of technology. There's all kinds. They've got robotic, like fruit pickers, orange pickers, grape pickers. So the traditional, transitory, vocation, seasonal migrant type work or whatever. Even that's going to become automated. It already has become increasingly more automated. Farming, for example. You've already got pigs and chicken ranches that. There's all kinds of little protests about how inhumane, but that's the market doesn't care. They just want their chicken. They want their chicken nuggets. And so these. In fact, that was one of my first jobs when we moved to California. I was just trying to find work, and I got hired by a temp agency to help install a new what's called a supervisory command and detection SCADA. What's SCADA stand for again? I'm sitting here a SCADA expert. I forget what SCADA stands for. What's that say about me, huh?
Getting old.
Getting old.
Yeah.
Supervising control and data acquisition control system architecture. And they sent me to some place. I had no clue where it was. And so it was a giant beef processing factory, right? So they had this old, what do you call it? Was it a slaughterhouse?
Yes.
That was, I guess, where the cows were going there doing it the old-fashioned way. It was all nasty, and we avoided that. And then they built a brand new building right next to it that was 100% automated. So even the little hammer that comes down that knocks them out, that what's that word called when you knock an animal out?
I don't know, but man.
And anesthetize, I think. That was automated, and then the animal just goes along these little automated little conveyor belts, and then they go through these machines that detect where the stuff is, and slices and dices. They don't have automated systems. Well, so that's my big long conversation about this is that there is automation on the way, and I can show some videos I've seen just over the years even. And we can do an update on it if people wanted to get more into it. That general jobs in society, again, both manufacturing and service jobs, are at risk of disappearing because of automation, including programmers' jobs. So what to do with those people? How are people going to eat and survive if they don't have a basic means of living? And so that's the question mark. Do we have a mandatory basic living allowance, as some talk about it?
People are innovative. I'm not worried about it because technology has been increasing over the past 100, 150 years already, and we have adjusted.
Well, okay. So what kind of industries can you speculate might pop up out of that?
A lot more technician work, a lot more, because programming is never really going to go away. I mean, you got to program that which will automatically program something else,
Yeah. Until Skynet comes online, right?
Raffle. New needs for new products, improvements on already existing products to maximize efficiency, mean, basically what's already been happening
So-
over the past 100 and 150 years will just continue to progress along the natural expected course. And then, of course, new innovations that
Mhm.
will change everything. Like, who is it that you were watching? There,
All right,
back
take
when
care,
the,
Guru Lady. Sorry, go ahead.
Pardon?
Guru Lady
Oh,
saying
all right,
take it off.
darling. You have a good day at work. Drive safe.
Be nice to catch you when you're online sometime. Go ahead.
Yeah, it would be. You were talking about how there was like this big scare about, food scarcity and derpity derp, and then some guy comes along. Who was that? By
Is
the
it
way?
derpity derp or erpity? Or
I don't know. Anyway.
I love that she said hashtag love your faces. That was really cute.
Anyway, yeah, he came along and I have to forget exactly what he did, but he revolutionized something.
Oh,
like
you're talking
food
about Norman.
production.
What's his face?
Is that what his name was?
Yeah, the guy that started the Green Revolution with the wheat.
I think you're right. Yeah, I don't remember his name.
Norman. Oh my gosh, he's got a Swedish last name. So yeah.
Sweden, yeah.
Sweden.
I'm being a dork. But anyway, yeah, so things like that are going to continue to happen.
Okay.
And so there's always going to be a need for people.
I'd like to agree. And then the question mark or the concern is, can technology improve so rapidly that doesn't happen, that the technology curve becomes too high, that the innovation curve, the learning curve for it makes it super difficult to near impossible.
If it does, I think it'd be pretty freaking temporary, and yeah, if that's a big if, because I don't actually think we're going to see that on a massive monumental scale like Elon's afraid of currently,
Right. Well, he's not the only one, but yeah.
Yeah, I think that it's because it's already been happening. I mean, think about the past 100, 150 years, how much technology has increased.
Well, that's true.
People adapt.
Gone from horse-pulled carriages to interplanetary class
Vehicles, right.
Rocket delivery systems.
That's right.
So back onto the larger point, though. So if, just for sake of argument, there becomes large sectors of humans, of nations that can't find employment, do we talk about like some sort of mandatory, taxation welfare system versus some sort of like voluntary, like charity-based system?
Well, you don't want government involved because whenever government pretends to be charitable, they're keeping the vast majority, of course, for themselves and for their friends and those that support whatever agenda they may have. You don't want government to pretend to be, the benefactor, such selfless giving, because it's not.
And that reminds me, that's an excellent point, because it was just like last week I was listening on the radio that there's some sort of new, there's a proposal for a new $50 million, we call it, tax benefit, where it's some sort of charity thing for veterans, for veteran homelessness assistance, right? And the Congress lady I was listening to talk about it, I forget who it was saying that she was speculating that it might be enough to help support 5,000 to 6,000 veterans.
It's not going to be a whole heck of a
Well, lot. And so my first thought, I did the math in my head, so let me do it here on the computer to make sure I'm double check my math. $50 million divided by, let's just say 5 million veterans. That's $10,000 each.
Yeah.
So
They'll get a really nice U-Haul box.
What?
And maybe a couple crayons to draw some flower pots in the front, and a door and everything.
yeah. Well, so if that's to last them all year, I guess I could see that could be pushing it. But
All I know is that these types of programs, by and large, are not enough, and it's not. And there's eventually you run out of other people's money.
Right.
Let's just summarize it like that.
Well, so the socialist argument is that you can't always hope and rely on willful charity. The whole,
Okay,
Ayn Rand
so
conversation.
For me, what I see is that the government keeps piling on new and more intrusive and invasive regulations,
Right.
new and intrusive freaking social programs, financial assistance programs, all that stuff. The more they pile it on, the more they have to tax the people, obviously. So when they tax the population has less money with which to work. Therefore, they cannot donate to charity as well as they otherwise would. So that's it's government that's hurting charitable giving in the first freaking place. So if government would stop stealing people's money under the guise of caring for your fellow man, because they're not actually caring for their fellow man, they're caring for their own and their friends, then I think that people can. And also, not only that, but just think about the breakdown of the family unit and what have you. I mean, instead of throwing grandma in the nursing home, families take care of their people like they used to. So if you have that, where the family unit remains intact and they take care of one another, and the government isn't taxing the crap out of people, pretending that they're going to share with the poor or whatever, redistribute the wealth so people can have an equal share of the pie, then I think that we will see what we've always seen, actually.
It reminded me of Jesse Camping and Salvador. So there's some people in these little YouTube Christian communities that are doing precisely that. They're taking care of their family.
Well, I got a couple of friends in game who are actively living with their parents to help them to take care of themselves day to day. I think it's a wonderful thing.
That's supposed to be.
Yes, that's exactly how it's supposed to be. So, yeah, we don't need government to save us from our own selfishness. We need to take care of each other, like we always have historically.
So that, I guess, that's where I was hoping to try to steer the conversation. If we're going to move away from a government-dependent society and try to become more year-round charitable, as Girl Lady's topic suggestion.
Right.
So how do we encourage that? How do we, so the haves versus the have-nots, as the old classic stupid political line goes, how do we maximize our ability to be able to give to others? I'm talking in general, not just you and I, but ideas for everybody to think about. Normally people think about how they can just get a raise or get a new job, to benefit them, and their family. So when and where and how can the mentality become developed to say, okay, I want to get a pay raise so I can support an extra family or two?
Well, the thing is that it would be well enough for people to just support their own family, which is becoming far, far more scarce over time. They're expecting the government to take care of their old and infirm family members instead of them doing it themselves. So if they would focus on taking care of them and their own families, I think that, that's a really good starting point, because we're not there anymore.
Well, what I'm talking about is, again, like a sudden rapid paradigm shift in societal economic status, where there are millions of people that just cannot find work because of technology. So there's hopefully a few million others around that still can.
Well, that's where the entrepreneurial spirit takes hold. I mean, when people first came here to America, they didn't have some company to go put a job application and a resume for and have a panel interview or whatever and get hired. They made their own work. You know what I'm saying? They created their own businesses.
They cut their own farms and...
Well, that too, yeah. But they sold and traded with one another and things like that. It's basically that.
Austrian economics.
Well, no, it's just basic entrepreneurial. Yeah.
So that's suggesting that people that can't find work just need to go and start a backyard garden and hope they can survive off that. Well,
that's oversimplifying what I'm saying. People are very, very creative, and I think that we as a society over time several generations in, obviously, have become rather lazy and indolent, and we want things given to us. We want there to be a job for us to apply for, rather than create a valuable business and what have you, and build it up and do the hard work.
I hate looking for work.
But that's what happens. So they're now expecting things to be handed to them. But I think if all that were taken away, people would be forced to say, okay, I have to survive. What can I do? People are quite creative, and they will come up with ways. I mean, even in the most harshest communist climates, in other countries around the world, people would not saying all of them, obviously millions starved and died, but people would find a way to make it work.
That's what I was going to say. So the oversimplification of that topic is basically learn to innovate, become an entrepreneur, or die. But
yeah, but that's been the human experience all throughout human history up until rather recently, if you think about it.
Oh, I agree. But that also further reminds me how even in the communist, atheist, fascist countries, like you were mentioning, like in Russia, for example, they did have those collective farms that the mandatory government, you will produce this amount of grain or whatever every year, or lose your farm or die.
That's right.
And they were suffering, and it wasn't because
many died.
There weren't enough farms. So there were plenty of farms, but they were so poorly mismanaged, and people were so demotivated and demoralized that they just didn't want.
Keep it.
Right. Well, that's just it. You're right. The human nature is, well, why work hard if they're just going to take it from me anyways? Especially if they take more than what I think I need for my family. So what ended up happening, I don't know if you've heard of this or not.
Yes, of course I have.
The privatization. Yeah, so the Soviet atheist fascists, they started to allow the major farm groups to have like a couple acres, which is like 2% of their farm, could be private for themselves. Right? Just to say, okay, well, we'll force you to farm all this, and then this is going to go to the people, to the state, but you can have this a little bit for yourself, right?
Yeah,
so,
I know
so they
all
can
about this, right.
try to create that or encourage that capitalistic, entrepreneurial spirit you're talking about. And what ended up happening, they thought it was just enough to keep people happy, to kind of create or inspire that spirit.
I don't think that's what it was. I think they were running out of money. So
Well,
they had
no.
to let a little capitalism in so they could survive and retain their power.
It was to try to get people to stay motivated to want to harvest the rest of their field, so they could try to build the state up. Well, that was the motive. Again, that was the declared public reason. But what ended up happening though is that over 50% of the whole nation, the whole general public, started being able to literally be sustained off of that 2% of the private crops, because the farmers, they still didn't give care about the public farm side of it, and they just focused on their small little part, and they maximized the productivity and the efficiency of it, that their small farm was able to do what they didn't want to do, basically, with the large farm.
Well, yeah.
And that, of course, eventually led to the...
I know all about this, by the way.
Well, okay. I was just sharing that. So, in theory, and we were talking about that ourselves even, right, when the first COVID-19 thing was going on. You were talking about wanting to get a little indoor garden thing, a hanging garden.
Well, no, I spoke about that long before that.
Right. Yeah, that's right. We were talking about that with Emily.
For years, I've been wanting to do that, but that's just for your own use. Of course, it's not going to fully take care of you, but
right,
it'll help.
That was my big beef. But the idea that there was potential food shortages started to already motivate us to want to figure out how to become farmers outside of video games,
or find a way to survive. See, I'm the ultimate selfish, bastard, so to say. I don't want. I want you guys to survive. So that's my motivation is to make sure you guys can eat. But if I didn't have you guys, I'm ready to go home. I've been around the planet. I have done my 2 bits. I have served. I've done my duty. I've served God. I am. I just want God to do whatever He wants with me. And so I'm tired. I'm ready to go. I'm still here to serve you guys and God. But I don't know. Like I said, maybe that's selfish. It's certainly a minority. I'm sure a lot of people don't want to just move on. However young or old. But that's my thing. I agree with my brother. He said we don't live by circumstances. We live by the will of God. So. Your work's not done until you're dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds like a quote from somewhere. Huh?
I have no idea.
Is that one of those Sun Tzu things?
What? Art of War?
Yeah, I know, I was being silly. Confucius says, "You're not done until you're dead."
They're very cute. Here, have a kitten.
How would Confucius say it? Put it sentence.
I have no idea.
No, darn it.
Oh, come here, you cute baby.
So anyhow, this all wraps back to the topic of charity, of year-round, nonstop, every day, not just Christmas, but every day charity.
Yeah, I always thought that was fascinating how people, during the holidays, you'll see it all the time. Oh, charity this, charity, give a homeless, people for one free meal. It's like, okay, you do realize there's 364 other days in a year, right? Yikes! But anyway, I'm not going to come down on them because again, government. What was that? Oh, she was itching her ear.
Itch, yeah.
Government takes so much money away from the citizenry for their own selfish benefit, pretending that they care about the poor and the children. People don't have as much money to work with now, so it hampers. Because let's face it, Americans are really freaking generous people.
Yeah.
than we always have been. Yeah.
I agree. You're reminding me of the American Red Cross back during the Great Depression days, 1930s. You remember that?
Well, yeah, I was totally alive for that.
Huh?
I know I'm old, but daggone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You remember those days?
Totally.
Standing in the soup lines, the soup kitchen.
Yeah.
I was asking if you remember the I don't want to rehash the story necessarily. If you remember the details of it, that the FDR administration, they were trying to do their New Deal program, and they were wanting to try to work with or solicit other private charity agencies like the Red Cross and others to try to redistribute, quote unquote, the wealth. You know, try to help improve non-tax based charity groups with tax base. You know, forced charity. And the American Red Cross at the time said no. They refused government aid with the caveat that they just knew from basic human history that if you subsidize something, then the donations will dry up. Because they were basically saying that, no, if we start taking government paychecks to try to give out our soup kitchen stuff, then the real donors, the private citizenry, the actual where the actual money is, outside of government, they'll say, oh, well, the government's taking care of it, we don't need to anymore. And then they'll actually lose charity. You know, and so of course the socialist idea is to, of course, increase taxes, try to soak the rich even further, but it always reduces revenue. So, but yeah, so let me see. I'm going to play a quick clip to kind of give an idea for those that haven't necessarily seen it yet of what the very near future already looks like as far as how nobody's job is safe.
I can help with this problem. So let's go back to this example. Let's say you want to ask Google.
This is 2 years ago.
Make you a haircut appointment on Tuesday between 10 and noon. What happens is the Google Assistant makes the call seamlessly in the background for you. So what you're going to hear is the Google Assistant actually calling a real salon to schedule the appointment for you. Let's listen.
How can I help you? Hi, I'm calling to book a woman's haircut for a client. I'm looking for something on May 3rd. Sure, give me one.
It never gets non-creepy.
Mm-hmm. Sure, what time are you looking for around? At 12 p.m. We do not have a 12 p.m. available. The closest we have to that is a 1:15. Do you have anything between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m.? Depending on what service she would like. What service is she looking for? Just a woman's haircut for now. Okay, we have a 10 o'clock. 10 a.m. is fine. Okay, what's her first name? The first name is Lisa. Okay, perfect. So I will see Lisa at 10 o'clock on May 3rd. Okay, great. Thanks. Great. Have a great day. Bye.
It never stops getting creepy.
That was a real call you just heard. The amazing thing is the assistant can actually understand the nuances of conversation. We've been working on this technology for many years. It's called Google Duplex. It brings together all our investments over the years in natural language understanding, deep learning, text-to-speech. By the way, when we are done, the assistant can give you a confirmation notification saying your appointment has been taken care of. Let me give you another example. Let's say you want to call a restaurant, but maybe it's a small restaurant which is not easily available to book online. The call actually goes a bit differently than expected. So take a listen.
See how may I help you?
Hi, I'd like to reserve a table for Wednesday the 7th.
For 7 people?
It's for 4 people.
4 people? When?
Next Wednesday at 6 p.m.
Gosh.
Oh, actually we reserve for like upper like 5 people. For 4 people you can come.
All the nuances.
How long is the
Upwards
wait
for, like,
usually
5 people?
to be seated?
For when tomorrow or weekday or?
Nuances.
for next Wednesday, the 7th.
Broken English.
Oh, no, it's not too busy. You can count for 4 people, okay?
Oh, I gotcha. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Just come for 4 people. You didn't say that. You can come for 4 people. And you'll be able to intuit that.
Again, that was a real call. We have many of these examples where the calls quite don't go as expected, but the assistant understands the context, the nuance. It knew to ask for wait times in this case and handle the interaction gracefully. Look, we're still developing this technology, and we actually want to work hard to get this right, get the user experience and the expectation right for both businesses and users. But done correctly, it'll save time for people and generate a lot of value for businesses. We really want it to work in cases, say if you're a busy parent in the morning and your kid is sick and you want to call for a doctor's appointment. So we're going to work hard to get this right. There is a more straightforward case where we can roll this out sooner, where, for example, every single day we get a lot of queries into Google where people are wondering on the opening and closing hours of businesses. But it gets tricky during holidays, and businesses get a lot of calls. So we as Google can make just that one phone call and then update the information for millions of users, and it'll save a small business countless number of calls. So we're going to get moments like this right and make the experience better for users. This is going to be rolling out as an experiment in the coming weeks, and so stay tuned.
I was muted again. So I was trying to say that's old school now. That's over 2 years ago, and the development curve just continues to accelerate logarithmically. So I am very confident they have more than achieved those goals. I'd love to find an updated example soon, because I don't think I've got Google Assistant quite on my phone yet. So I haven't really looked for it, but Google does like to sniff my emails though, and tell me when my bill is due, even though I didn't sign up for that. You know, I'll get this text message: "Your bill is due." Blah blah blah. I'm like, really? How do you know, Google? But yeah. So that technology is just constantly accelerating. It's not just going up; it's accelerating. And I don't know if you guys caught it, but he's talking about doing this AI voice assistant, this service assistant for both the user and the receiver, the caller and the receiver. So it's a very plausible scenario that not only are the machine language the machine language algorithms going to constantly be improving themselves to better understand and communicate, properly with other humans, but it's also very capable of being able to communicate with other vocal AIs as well. AI assistants. So it's one thing to go just log online and do your whatever it is you're trying to do for a service, but it's another thing where we're gonna have literal just armies of AIs talking to each other, planning things for us, in the guise of making technology easier and simpler. So of course that can open up all other cans of worms, right? So AI is improving themselves essentially on both ends of the service sector. So, yeah, anyways, it's been an hour and a half now. If there's anybody else out there who wants to pick up another subject, I am wholeheartedly in agreement with the Guru Lady's idea of having a year-round charitable mentality. Miss Kelly, what are you laughing about?
The lady that streams for Cordovon, the other devs, is here.
Nice. I was going to tease how I've picked on you a few times about wanting to hang up the Christmas junk. So why don't we just leave it up all year? Why can't Christmas be every day?
There you go.
Classic husband.
You won't hear me complain about that.
Really? Did you hear that? This is recorded,
Okay.
Yeah? I can just put the tree up and just leave it up forever?
Heck yeah.
What?
Doggone it. You know how pretty my Christmas tree will be?
Yeah? No. Darn it. That defeats the purpose of not wanting to put the Christmas tree up. Anyhow, we'll have fun with that. But so yeah, no, seriously, on a serious note, I do want to learn other ideas of how to not have to be forced to rely on what I describe, what Kelly was saying earlier, is fake government charity, because I mean, printing money to give people an income that's not really money. Money has to be earned. Somebody has to exchange a value or a service or a commodity for something else. Money is just the liquid transfer medium for whatever it is you're trying to transfer your value between. So if we continue to dilute our own personal value, our own worth, abilities to earn a wage, then it just makes the problem worse, I think. You certainly saw that, for example, at the beginning of, or near the beginning of World War II in Germany, for example, right after, right when the Nazis were starting to take power, the German Deutschmark just went to the floor. Talk about Bitcoin crash, the Deutschmark crash. They were talking like 4 million Deutschmarks to the dollar at one point. They got ancient old videos of people literally walking around with wheelbarrows full of printed money, just to go down to the grocery store. It's totally ridiculous. They just print so much money, but it doesn't solve the problem. It just kind of creates new problems. And that's what I'm worried about, people not learning lessons of history from. But we still need to learn. And I guess in theory, I just had a thought, Kelly, that if we can develop our AI well enough, it could help try to solve a lot of these problems on how to create a balanced trade market, to some sort of money market type investment scheme that we can use to create a natural income increase flow instead of artificial, some sort of arbitrary, whip of the pen, government creation thing, whatever. Basically, AI can improve our stock market or commodity exchanges to maximize profits with that. That could be used to help, people, just for charity reasons. But I don't know. It's a big, touchy subject. And all kinds of science fiction about it, too. So all kinds of, stories about this have been talked about since I think the 1920s, George Orwell, H.G. Wells, they've talked about all kinds of dystopias happening, Was it George Orwell that wrote 1984? Mm-hmm. It seems like we survived. Yep, Animal Farm. We survived 1984. I was still in high school then, I think. Were we? No, we were before high school.
It was supposed to be set in a future time.
Well, I'm just saying. It was 50 years into his future, but the point was we survived it. So I'm thinking that if we do start to rely more and more on forced charity, that dystopia nightmare that Wells wrote about is very plausible. It's very true. I think it's been kind of a minor miracle that we haven't gone down that road. Because Russia certainly saw that. The decline of their economy and their population, 60 million people. More innocent civilians died under the Soviet socialist atheist fascism regime than they did under the Nazi atheist fascism regime. In fact, there's a famous quote I'll share. I like to share often in more formal debates from Alexander Solzhenitsyn. How do you pronounce that? Solzhenitsyn. He's a famous Russian author and journalist. Survived the atheist gulag death camps. I forget the charges he had, but they were all bogus, of course. Do you remember, Kelly? But yeah, so they put him in the gulags, and he was expected to die, but he survived thanks to the Berlin Wall falling and the Iron Curtain being lifted. But his quote of his I love to share kind of really explains the dangers that all of us, the whole world, is always in danger of. He says, the real root of a lot of these problems basically is he says, quote, over half a century ago, While I was still a child, I recall hearing a number of old people offer the following explanation for the great disasters that had befallen Russia. Quote, men have forgotten God. That's why all this has happened, end quote. Since then, I have spent well nigh 50 years working on the history of our evolution. In the process, I have read hundreds of books, collected hundreds of personal testimonies, and have already contributed 8 volumes of my own toward the effort of clearing away the rubble left by that upheaval. But if I were asked today to formulate as concisely as possible the main cause of the ruinous revolution that swallowed up some 60 million of our people, I could not put it more accurately than to repeat, quote, men have forgotten God. That's why all this has happened, end quote. So, yeah. If America and other nations are at all special or are inoculated against such massive multi-million deaths over such a short period of time, it's because of our faith and our belief and our desire to follow God's will, which includes to love your enemy, to feed your enemy, not just your own family, not just ourselves. That reminds me of James chapter 2. I was quoting the other day. Talking about faith without works is dead. James says, what good is it, dear brothers and sisters, if you say you have faith but don't show it by your actions? Can that kind of faith save anyone? Suppose you see a brother or sister who has no food or clothing, and you say goodbye and have a nice day, stay warm and eat well. But then you don't give that person any food or clothing. What good does that do? So you see, faith by itself isn't enough. Unless it produces good deeds, it is dead and useless. It's in 2 James 14, and it continues on to verse 26. It gives a couple of other examples even of this. That if we don't show our faith by doing things for people, for God, really, God says that everything that we do to others is what we're due to Him. It's how we treat Him. And so if we can't do that, then we're just fooling ourselves. You can't just sit on your laurels, and you can't just take care of your own family and hope that's good enough. You know? And I've wanted to be like that. I've got that human failing. But God's taught me better. We can't just take care of our own immediate family, especially when times get really, really bad. We have to be ready, you know, and I've thought about this over the years. We have to be ready to not just, you know, give people money, but to go out there and help build farms, help train people, you know, help people to be able to defend themselves even. I've thought about how, you know, if there's a big civil war or whatever, food riots, you know, those of us that are prior military, we can go out there, we can teach people how to defend each other. You know, how to fix a car, you know. Your life is that much more complicated in the modern era if your mechanic you rely on is busy trying to defend himself and feed, you know, his family. You don't have a mechanic to go to, so those of us that know mechanics can teach other people, you know. Maybe we can even keep the internet up, you know, by just offering charity. Say, hey, let's go repair that ISP data farm, you know. Let's go fix that guy's computer, you know. Let's go pull that cable, do something. But I don't know. I think that's the basic mentality. If we're not willing to do things, do for others as we would have them do for ourselves, then yeah, we're doomed. Humanity dies. So I guess that's the bottom line. We do need to have a year-long charity mentality. Make Christmas every day.
Well, best you can, of course,
Yeah.
within your ability.
Right. All right. So yeah. Any other thoughts or? All right. Well, I'll conclude this then. With the prayer that we all hear from God directly about what He wants us to be able to not just rely on, again, for ourselves, for our own family, but what we can do to learn to help others adapt, to help teach others how to, as Kelly put it, to be self-sustaining. Lord, that's what we ask for you, Father, is to teach us. I was going to say how to help, teach us how to do the things we need to, again, just to take care of each other. But I would actually pray, Lord, that you teach us everything. Help all of us become knowledgeable, doers of the word. Doers of the word to me, Kelly, that means to be able to do everything God asks. Whether that means having a shoulder for someone to cry on, or fixing a computer, helping someone change a tire, every little thing. I think that I think what that means, be doers of the word, that means be always ready to be prepared to help do whatever it is Christ needs us to do for someone else.
Well, that and obedience.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what being doers of the word is. That's the obedience of that.
How you behave toward others, just even conversations, stuff like that applies to that too.
Right.
And,
Okay.
How we treat one another, help take care of one another, especially fellow brothers and sisters in Christ.
Amen. Well, and I would argue everybody. Everybody's God's children.
Everybody, but brothers and sisters in Christ especially.
I think it was Rich Mullins. I love that man's sermons. Said something about how if we're relying on the government, then that means the church has failed. It's the church's job, not the nation's, to provide security and sustenance, welfare, whatever you want to call it. God's tasked the church to provide for others.
Yeah, I know.
Not the nation. So
I know.
I guess that's the level of the conversation. That's the level of the what do we call it? The debate. Or do we rely more on man versus God? And I am confident, not just based on my own experiences, that anybody and everybody can learn anything from God. You don't have to go to a college. You don't have to get some advanced degree or whatever. You don't have to become a information systems management, scientist or whatever. You just, if you need to do something, whether for yourself or for others, just go do it. Learn it. Best you can. Reinvent something new, like you were saying, Kelly.
Yep. Or improvements to existing goods or services, right?
Yeah. So that's the answer, I guess. If there's a sudden massive shift of...
Yep, people got to be creative again.
Mm-hmm. All right. Appreciate everybody that was listening. You guys have a great rest of your day, and welcome to any comments, of course. And again, thank you, Lord, for just a wonderful, peaceful conversation. And I pray He blesses each of you guys, no matter if you believe or not. I pray the Lord reaches out to you and not only blesses you, but just shows you how much He loves you.